We have Parker here, otherwise known as Stangry 50. Thanks so much for coming out, man.
Thanks for having me.
We last saw him at the RTR event with his black 2017, right?
2016.
2016 twin turbo car.
Yep, it is now ripped into a million pieces, ready for a 5.2 and ready to go redeem itself on the dyno there at Steeda.
So what have you picked up in the meantime?
Well, you see, while that other car was down, I needed a Mustang, so came across a good deal on the 2024, had to go pick it up.
Awesome. Let's see what this is all about. All right, so how long did it take you to get some modifications on this car?
So it was like a 200-mile drive home from the dealership, and springs and H-pipe and wheels went on at, I want to say 800 miles.
Oh my gosh. So
and then I drove 200 miles to Jay's to get it installed. So I drove, 400 miles-ish stock, 400 miles too long.
Tell us a little bit about your wheel and tire setup as well as what springs you went with.
So Belgium reached out to me and they sent me a bunch of different variety. These are what I came out with. I was gonna stick with your generic white on black, but we decided to be different with this one. So we went with the gunmetal. I think they came out amazing.
No doubt.
And of course, I think with any Mustang, the first thing you gotta do is drop some lowering springs on it, some wheels and tires, and that's looking pristine.
I mean, I love the choice you made on these Belgians. It's a 20x10 in the front with a 20x11 in the rear, gunmetal finish, Belgian VF9 with a 275/35 Nitto NT555 G2 and a 305/35 in the rear. Primo package. And you went with the Steeda Progressive springs, right?
Steeda Progressive springs, and then we got the Steeda H-pipe on there as well.
And this is a non-Magna Ride car with the Steeda Progressives. Obviously, it lowers. I love the way this thing looks.
That looks so good. 10 times better than stock.
So how does it drive?
Drives amazing. Drives like stock, honestly. I wouldn't have noticed a difference.
All right, so this car has the active exhaust from the factory. Obviously, you went with the Steeda H-pipe. Have you heard the X-pipe? Like, what made you go with the H-pipe over the X?
So I have heard the X-pipe. I had the X-pipe on my other car as well, and then I switched to a Steeda H-pipe. The X-pipe is just a little too raspy for me. The H-pipe deepens it a little bit. This thing sounds great stock already, but with the H-pipe is literally a perfect tone, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the fitment for these active exhaust cars is very similar to the 18 to 23, but they definitely change how these cars sound from the factory.
Definitely, that resonator holds it back, definitely.
But now that you have the resonator off of there, it sounds amazing.
Sounds amazing.
So obviously under the hood, it's pretty much stock. Have you done anything? I think you said you removed the carbon traps?
Yeah, so I removed the carbon traps. I did the dyno run before and after because the internet was going crazy saying you gained some crazy horsepower. We gained 6.
Nice.
6 horsepower.
So we ran on the dyno at Steeda. Fourth gear, which is 1-to-1 with the MT82, and then in third gear, fourth gear, we got
405 wheel horsepower.
Nice, and that's with the carbon traps removed and the H-pipe.
Yep.
So 405, no slouch. We couldn't even get it all the way to redline because we hit that speed limiter at about, what, 68, 6900 RPM?
That's more in it.
Yeah, so we put it in third. See what we got there, and it made
395.
395, a little bit lower, but obviously the gear ratios and transmission's a little bit different, so we're going to see different numbers. But all in all, I mean, I would be pretty satisfied with 405 on these cars.
It's nothing a twin turbo kit can't solve.
Speaking of twin turbo, let's talk about future mods. What are your plans with this thing? Can't say stock long.
Yeah, no. 400 miles stock was already way too long. So I think the plan is to bring it to Hellhorse and get a twin turbo kit on there. Obviously, it's gonna be like the C8 where you really just run 5 pounds of boost, give it like 100-something horsepower until they're actually tunable, and that's when we throw the real power at it.
And what do you plan to do with the rest of the drivetrain? Obviously, the MT82, they did improve it. It is a new generation.
I think the plan is to see how much it has improved and see how much it'll take.
We obviously saw Jaleel out with the Whipple car, really testing the limits in the MT82.
I had an MT82 and another MT82 and another MT82.
But it's going to be interesting to see with the twin turbo kit. Honestly, if you don't go Whipple and you do go twin turbo, it should be a little bit easier on the drivetrain, considering, you know, boost builds up over time, right?
We'll see. I'm going to bang every gear and we'll see what it can hold.
And speaking of banging gears, we put the Triax street shifter in here, so curious to see what you think. You want to hop in?
Let's go see what it does.
All right. All right, what better way to start off a driving impression, right?
Just had to let you know that I had that dog in me.
So we added the street Triax shifter, like we talked about. It has Steeda progressives, has the Belgian VF9s, Steeda H-pipe, which sounds amazing, by the way. Are we in track mode right now?
Of course we're in track
Heck
mode.
yeah.
Is the car on? Yeah, we're in track mode.
Just got done having some fun doing some drift brake, donuts and stuff.
Had to make sure it works. We paid for it, right?
How much do you want me to do?
I want you to do it.
I don't like beating up on other people's cars.
I gave consent. I've taken that thing to the drag strip like twice now. That was awesome. That's exactly what I wanted.
Okay.
How did it feel? Did it feel good?
Yeah, nice and easy. So I'm in track mode with the drift brake on, and at least with the stick cars, the way it seems to work is you gotta have your foot off the gas with the clutch pedal in. And then from there you initiate the drift and then kind of get your feel for the gas pedal again, pop the clutch and then take the drift from there.
Yeah, it sounded like a foreign language, so I'm so glad it's you doing it.
Oh my gosh. You really don't necessarily need to be going fast either. So your first gear, I'm only doing 16 miles an hour, clutch in. But see, it's a 0 to 100 thing, so you can give it as much gas as you want, clutch in. Try it again. And that was too much, right? So that was too much, give it a little bit less. And that was a little weak, but I saved it in gas, right? By adding a little bit more throttle. Try the other way.
Evenly destroy the tires.
But not too bad, right? Tell me a little bit about your impressions of this car. You obviously came from the 15 to 17 body style, so you had a lot of familiarity with the S550. You know, what are your thoughts on the new 650?
I think like everybody, I was a little iffy at first because obviously when you change up the whole body style, you're either gonna like it or hate it.
Right.
But for some reason, honestly, it was when they pulled out the Dark Horse, I was like, I need that. I need that now. And the more I saw them, the more they grew on me. And the second that one became available, I think they became available on the 27th, I ordered on the 28th.
So what did you order? Because it wasn't a GT.
It wasn't a GT, so I fully spec'd out a Dark Horse, handling pack, had the Tremec, white. It's pretty much this spec, but not a GT.
Decked out.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I did not get one of those early orders, so I still haven't gotten a VIN, and I could not keep that itch down. So the second I found one available, and it was a really close spec, I guess the closest I could get with a GT.
Right.
Had to go pick it up.
Do you regret your purchase?
Not at all. Not at all.
I mean, the base model of these cars has so much more than the S550 base models did.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the screens alone and all the driving modes, all that stuff you did not get with the S550. You can make it right up here. But now you got the 2 screens, you got all the cool auxiliary gauges, you got the driving modes, you got the flat foot shifting in these stick cars.
Yes, you do. Shall we?
Yes. Beautiful.
I have a little Easter egg. So if you go to do your no lift shift,
Yeah.
and you just don't shift or lift, there's a little factory, a little pop, pop, pop.
Really?
Pretty sick, right?
That is kind of cool. Now, I wonder what that'll sound like with headers. Or should I say a twin turbo kit?
Yeah. Yes and yes.
So what's your favorite thing about this car so far?
Well, I've never had all the nice tech.
Okay.
My first Mustang was a 2017 base model. I mean, I had
the calculator dash and
calculator
everything.
dash, you name it. And then I switched up when I went boost and I got the 6R80. That one's a premium non-performance pack, but I still didn't get the digital dash. And then once I went to this, it was like from 0 to literally just maximum technology. And I know a lot of people are kind of iffy on that.
Right.
I love it. I love it. A lot of people like to stay old-timey with these, but I think it's such a great step future-wise, technology-wise, because it's all kind of hides if you don't have driver mod.
Yo, for sure.
I had never gone to the drag strip with a manual before, and I pulled up with this, and I was so nervous. You know, there's so many cameras. Line lock. Look like I'm a pro doing it.
Yeah.
Launch control. Now, I'm still working on that.
You got street tires.
I'm still working on that.
It isn't a slick.
I'm still working on it. But I personally am a huge fan of the technology. I know a lot of people aren't, but again, like you said, I think seeing it in person really changes your perspective, especially on the double screen. I'm actually a fan of the 2 separated ones versus the 1 long one in the premiums. That's just me, but it's like the steering wheel kind of blocks your view of where that would be, even though there's nothing on the screen in that connector part.
Right.
It's still it's nice to have 2 separate, in my opinion.
Now, tell us a little bit about, where you got your passion for Mustang from. Was that 17 your first Mustang?
So the 17 I was 15 when the S550 came out, and I saw a couple of YouTube videos, and I was like, wow, I'm gonna get one of those cars. I was 15 at the time, and when I turned 19, I found that 17. Now, granted, like I said, base model, but I got a Mustang. So I learned how to drive stick in that car. I learned everything in that car. So that's really what struck my passion for it. And then once it came to the aftermarket stuff, I met Jay, and Jay's a very pushes you to do the mods. So every time I come to Jay's, I go and we figure out what we're gonna do next to make it a little bit faster, a little bit faster, a little bit faster. And that's where I got introduced to Steeda, because the faster you go, the more suspension mods you need.
No doubt.
I learned that the hard way.
Especially in a stick car, getting it down the drag strip. It's not easy. You have a lot of these nannies that do help, but these 10R80 cars make the Mustang so much faster.
Oh yeah.
Like these stick cars, when you talk about quarter-mile times, most people really don't even care what the stick car runs, because that 10R80 is just so much faster.
See, I had moved from the MT82. Now, granted, I didn't go to the 10-speed. I went to the 6R80, and I enjoy obviously the consistency at the drag strip.
Right.
But driving it on the street, and you put your foot to the floor, it's not as fun. Going out for a drive is so thrilling when you get to bang the gears. So I knew once I saw this coming out, I was like, I got to get one. It's going to be manual. I got to go back. And I don't regret it at all.
No doubt. And I mean, the A10s are fun. Obviously, you had some time in the Dark Horse, Jay's Dark Horse, the A10 car, and you kind of got a feel for what that was. You got a feel for what the Dark Horse was like. And you're still saying you're happy you went with the GT.
If I could go back and my Dark Horse order and the GT were sitting next to each other, I'm still picking the GT.
Bang for the buck, it's there.
I definitely think bang for the buck. They made similar numbers on the dyno. Now I know there's a little, we didn't get two manuals next to each other.
Right.
But it's still, in my opinion, the feel of hitting it in the Dark Horse and the feel of hitting it in this, I didn't feel that, $15,000+ difference.
Right.
Now, maybe out on the track with the handling package and the Tremec, it'll be a little bit different. I just haven't gotten to experience that yet. Personally, because I've checked out the Dark Horse, I've sat in them, I saw them at the Barrett-Jackson auction.
Right.
I got to ride in the 10-speed. Like I said, I haven't gotten to feel that Tremec yet, but it would have to be the craziest experience for me to justify that difference, because I just think that they mastered this car. I think they mastered the GT. So unless the dark horse is some crazy thing above that, now granted, I got some time. If by the time the dark horse comes out, I find out that the Tremec is something crazy, maybe we'll trade this thing in for the dark horse.
Right. At the end of the day, we did a lot with the 350. We did a lot with the Mach 1. All these cars start as a base EcoBoost, right? Mm-hmm. And different parts, different engines, different components build them up to what they are. But at the end of the day, they all start as a base model EcoBoost.
Right.
You know, one thing that dark horse has that the GTs don't is the Magnetic calibration, the chassis tuning, and the unique ABS tuning. And that's something that, again, if you're on track, you have, you know, super wide Hoosier slicks on all four corners,
right,
you're going to want that dark horse.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you're going to want to pay the extra money to have all those track goodies. But for most people, like you and me, that have fun on the street, occasionally go to the track, occasionally do an autocross,
I've got my straight line fast car. I wanted something where, like, you know, any day of the week I can open the garage, I can go and drive that thing.
Exactly.
My other car has definitely gotten out of that realm, so that's why I got this.
No doubt. So one question we like to ask, you know, what's your favorite Mustang story? Because everyone has one.
I told you, I started watching videos whenever they first came out. I couldn't drive yet, and I came across all the It's Just a Six videos on YouTube. And dude, I binge watched them. I fell in love with the car. I've kind of built my passion for cars, honestly. I finally got one, then I got my second one, and I was pondering over making videos on it. And the day that I bought that black car, I was a valet, pulled up to work. It's Just a Six pulled in.
No way.
Lived in Louisiana. For some reason, he was in Atlanta and came to the restaurant that I worked at. And that's what was like, you know what? If there's a sign, that was one right there. Started making videos, and now it's my job.
Heck yeah. And at the end of the day, if you're able to take your passion and make it a career, like that right there.
Doesn't get better than that.
No, it doesn't. You never work a day in your life if you love what you do. Well, Parker, I just appreciate you coming out, letting us have some fun in the car, burn some rubber, do everything we love doing as Mustang enthusiasts. Tell everybody where they can follow you.
I mainly do the TikTok stuff, but I'm also on Instagram. I need to get better at posting on YouTube, but just so many cameras, I lose track, then you got to edit it. So mainly just TikTok and Instagram.
Awesome. Well, comment below and let us know what else you think Parker should do to the car.
Twin turbos. Twin turbos.
He's got plenty of big plans for this thing, so we're excited to see where he takes it. Be sure to hit that like, subscribe button. Find Stangry on TikTok and all the other social channels as well. And don't forget the most important thing.
Speed matters.
Speed matters. Speed matters.
And cut.